Today is Thursday, Parashat Shofetim. Towards the end of the Parashah, the Torah tells us about a situation where a corpse is found out of the city, in between cities, and we don't know who murdered that person. So the Torah tells us we have to take a measurement to see what's the closest city to that corpse. Once we find out the closest city, then the leaders of that city, the elders, the people from the Bittan, from the rabbinic court, the elders of the rabbinic court, go to a place there's a ceremony that they're going to be doing, and that ceremony, which is the Egla Arufah, involves the Egla Arufah. They're going to make a statement. What is the statement that they make? Ve'anu ve'amru, they shall speak and say, Yadenu lo shafechu et adam hazeh. Our hands did not spill this blood. Ve'enenu lo ra'u, and our eyes did not see. So Rashi asks a question. Vechi alta alev shezikne bedin shofei damim. Would we suspect that the elders of the rabbinic court are murderers? Chas v'shalom, of course not. Ella, but rather what he means to say, lo ra'inuhu ptaru belo mezonot, ublo levaya. We did not see him and let him leave the city by himself, lonely, without giving him food or an escort. Because if they had been guilty of such neglect, they would have like blood on their hands, so to speak. In other words, such is the responsibility of the leaders of the city and the people of the city, that when you see somebody that is a wayfarer, that you should give him some food, should escort him. You have to take responsibility for it. Now, according to the Sforno, the explanation is they did not permit a known murderer to roam in the land. Because if they had known about a certain criminal that was roaming in the land and he did not take action to sort of make sure that he's not roaming around, they would have been responsible. So here we're talking about civic responsibility. Criminals to make sure that they're not around to harm other people. And on the other hand, also, we see somebody who's a wayfarer between cities, escort him, give him some provisions. The Maharal has also another take on this pasuk. In other words, this murder would not have happened if the people would have escorted him, if people would have given him food, even though there is no mitzvah to accompany the wayfarer until he gets to the next city. When the host takes the trouble to escort a stranger, part of the way, he shows that he feels solidarity with a fellow Jew. And when Jews have that kind of solidarity, that kind of unity among them, that kind of care for one another, then God responds by providing an extra measure of protection. But if they had just not cared about it, so in other words, we didn't see him, we were not aware of it. Had we been aware of it, the elders are saying we would have made sure that there is care. So Maharal says here, when there is unity, when people care for each other, then there is an extra protection mishamayim. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.